guys, how's it going? We just posted on Facebook telling you we were putting together a Q&A video and to submit any gardening questions that you might have. So I thought I would start off first with a question we've been seeing a ton lately, and that is, where did you go? Are you still making videos? I never see your posts. Are you still posting? And we are posting every single day. We're still making videos, actually a lot of videos it seems like. So the reason why you may not be seeing them is you might not have your notifications set up. So on Facebook, I wanted to tell you how to do that. So first you need to like our page, which I'm assuming you already have, and thank you for that. So right next to the like button, there's a button called following. So click on following and then click see first, and then you'll see all of our notifications on Facebook. However, if you want to be one of the first ones to see our videos, go to YouTube and subscribe to us there. We always post our videos first there, usually a day before we post them on Facebook. So subscribe and then click the little bell symbol to the right of the subscribe button, and then you'll get notifications every time we post a video. I'm also on Instagram under Garden Answer, and I post a lot there, usually once or twice a day. It's a lot more like personal, like what I'm doing right now, what I'm seeing, what I'm doing out in the garden. A lot more of Dexter there than you probably see on Facebook. A lot of them don't even make it to Facebook. Anyway, you can follow me there, and if you click the three little dots on the top right hand of the screen and click turn on post notifications, you'll get a notification every time I post there. So anyway, that's how you can see where we're posting, how often we're posting, and you won't miss anything. So let's get to the questions. I can't seem to care for my succulent correctly. It was beautiful when I bought it 4 months ago, but now it's brown at the bottom and straggly at the top. Okay, so the first thing I noticed when I look at this plant is that it's not getting enough light. That's why it stretched, it elongated, and succulents will do that if they don't get enough light. This is a sempervivum, which is a hardy, full sun-loving plant. So if it doesn't get that light, it will start to look like this. The browning leaves at the bottom, that's pretty normal. A lot of succulents do that. You can pull them off really easily and keep them groomed up. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. You might check the water if you're not watering it quite enough. Sometimes they'll do that, but the rest of the foliage looks fairly healthy. The other thing that you could do is you could cut the top of this plant off. We call it beheading, and you can repropagate it. I do that all the time with sempervivums. We did a video about propagating succulents, so you might check that out. What is the best way to prepare soil in the fall? So here's what I do with mine. I tend to cut back a lot of my perennials and things, and I know a lot of people say to leave the perennials, it's better for the plant. It probably is. It kind of, when you leave the foliage, it acts as kind of a mulch for the crown of your plant. It protects them from wintertime temperatures, but I don't like to have my garden look crappy in the spring. So I like to clean it up. I like to apply a fresh layer of like a shredded wood mulch or some kind of nice mulch. I do like to use Whitney Farms garden compost as my mulch. It's really pretty and it's full of good stuff. So I feel good about putting that as my top dress, because I know the stuff in that compost will work its way down in the soil eventually, and that makes me feel good. The other thing that I do for my soil in particular is add gypsum. We have really hard clay soil in my area, and it's also really high pH. So gypsum helps condition the soil, and that's something I actually add to mine about 2 or 3 times a season. So those are the things that I do in the fall. Your area might be different, so you might go to your local garden center and ask for their advice on what you should do. How do you safely get rid of weeds in a weed-infested flower bed? So my approach to weeding is pretty labor intensive. I prefer to hand pull my weeds because then I know I got the root, and it makes for a really clean finished result. And you know, then I don't have to use any kind of chemicals. When you've got broadleaf weeds in with flower beds, you can't use any broadleaf killer because then you'll kill your flowers. So that's not a viable approach. Once you get it cleaned up, you can put landscape fabric down if you want. There are some areas in my yard that I will use landscape fabric, you know, stuff that I want to be a little bit more low maintenance, but as a rule I don't usually use it in my garden flower beds around my house because I like things to naturalize and spread a little bit. I don't use any tools in particular to weed. I don't like cutting them off at the top. You know, you can use those weeders that kind of just cut the weeds right off the top of your soil surface, but that's kind of a really short fix. So I use my hands to weed, and I think that's the safest way to do it. Is your cat indoor or outdoor or both? So Dexter is kind of both. He came with our house when we bought it, and he was strictly an outside cat, and he was an outside cat for the summer. We'd let him come in every once in a while, but now as the falls, like we're getting gradually into fall and more cold temperatures, like we'll invite him in at night, and he doesn't really love it. Like he'll come in here and take naps, you know, but an hour later he wants back outside. So who knows what's gonna happen this winter. He's totally welcome to live in our house. We love him, he's so sweet, but I don't know, we'll see what he does. Is it okay to reuse the dirt in old pots? This is a great question. I get this one a lot. Okay, so what I do for the soil in pots is usually in the spring I start with fresh I fill the pot completely up with fresh potting soil, and I plant my spring flowers, and then usually like sometime in May, I pull out my spring flowers and start with summer. And when I do that, when I pull my spring flowers out, it usually takes out the top layer of soil, like maybe like this much of it, and I'll just top it off with fresh stuff. And I know in the spring these plants aren't growing super fast because it's cooler, they're not utilizing so much of the nutrients in the soil, so I don't feel bad about planting my summer things in. And I also fertilize the heck out of my summer flowers, so they get plenty of nutrients, even if the soil was completely lacking in it. And then in the fall, when I pull my summer stuff out, I top it off again and plant my fall stuff. And then usually the next spring, I'll clean them completely out and start fresh. So I think it's okay to use the old soil in your pots for a little while. You might even be able to get away with it for a couple seasons, like leave just the bottom layer in there and put fresh toward the top. I don't typically do that, but I don't think it would be bad, especially if you fertilize on a regular basis. How do you decide on what to do for the fairy gardens? I don't really know. It just kind of evolves. I know when I order a lot of my fairy garden pieces, I order them based on the season. So when I know fall's coming up, I'll load up on some fall accessories. I actually have some Christmas ones already that I'm excited to use. So I do a lot based on the seasons, but then also like we've done a Hobbit fairy garden and I really like the Hobbit, so that was a fun one to do. And sometimes you'll just get this idea, like an idea will pop in my brain, and I don't know, we'll go for it. So I don't really know. I don't really have a method. It just kind of happens. Oh, this is a good one. I was wondering, with winter soon approaching, how to overwinter plants like hostas, heuchera, and other smaller perennials that are in pots. This is my first time using those plants in pots, and I'm not sure if I need to bring them inside for winter or leave them out. I'm getting a phone call. I gotta take it real quick. Gravel man. Hello? Like not small stuff, but stuff that's easy to pull carts through. Is it like 3/4 inch something? I don't know. I think that's what we have at the nursery. It's more natural looking. It's not the round pea gravel. Yeah, I think that would be good. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Yay, we get some gravel delivered really soon for our greenhouse, our new greenhouse area. We laid landscape fabric last night, and we're gonna get some nice gravel put on top of it, and then we can get the greenhouse finished before winter. Okay, so back to the question. It was, let me repeat it. I was wondering, with winter soon approaching, how to overwinter plants like hostas, heuchera, and other smaller perennials that are in pots. This is my first time using those plants in pots, and I'm not sure if I need to bring them inside for winter or leave them out. Such a great question, and this is something that I do all the time. I love to winter over things in containers. I have pretty good luck with it, even in our zone 5 winters, which that means we can get down to -20 degrees here, which is pretty cold. And we're dry usually. We don't get a ton of moisture during the winter typically. So what I do with pots that have shrubs or perennials in them, I will move them somewhere protected. A good spot would be like up against a building. Perfect spot would be up against a building with southern exposure where it can still get some sunlight, but somewhere where it's getting protected from wind. That would be ideal. You can wrap containers with burlap or bubble wrap to provide a little bit of extra insulation. You can actually dig a hole and put the whole pot down in the hole for insulation too. That's a good way to do it. The main thing is providing protection. The main thing is providing protection and remembering to water it. I think that's the #1 reason why people lose their stuff in pots. You have to water it every 2 to 3 weeks, even if there's a layer of snow on the top. Throw some water on there. I have 26 huge pots down on the corners of our downtown city area. We did a video about it earlier. We water every 2 weeks, whether or not it's snowing or raining or whatever. People think we're nuts out there with the water tank, but I have never lost an evergreen. There's always evergreens in the center of the container, so they're pretty through the winter. Never lost a single one, and I think we're on year 5 or 6 of that project. That doesn't mean I don't ever lose stuff. It is a risk. When you're wintering things over in containers, it is risky. You might lose them. Even people who garden all the time lose stuff, like, you know, when you try to winter them over. So just remember protection and remember to water them. You can put them in a garage if you want to, but a lot of plants, a lot of the perennials that we would normally plant in the ground need a cold period in order to, you know, set buds or perform better the next year. So yeah, that's my answer. Okay, 2 more questions, otherwise this is going to be like a 45-minute video. Do you know the name of this plant? That looks like an amaranth to me. That didn't count. 2 more questions. How do I start my first veggie garden step by step? What soil to buy, what veggies are okay to grow in fall, etc., etc. And then really sweet, never interested in gardening until I found your channel. Oh, that's so sweet. Okay, so I'm gonna send you to somebody else's channel right now. Check out CallieKim29 on YouTube. She does a ton of vegetable gardening videos. all organic. She does them kind of on a more budget. She does really budget-friendly projects, which I think is great. But she is doing a series right now on getting a vegetable garden started, and I highly recommend you watch it. Oh, this is a good one. This is kind of more personal. What inspired you to start doing videos, and were you nervous when you did your first one? I'm still nervous every time we do a video. In fact, I don't even know how many takes we've done today. So we started doing videos when Aaron bought a new camera. We realized it took video. He's always been interested in it, and we were trying to find something to do together that we both enjoy. I have a passion for gardening. He does for videography and just everything that goes along with that. And so we kind of melded them together, and Garden Answer was born. Videos have gotten a lot easier for me. I mean, I'm growing. I feel like, I don't know, it's super awkward to watch myself still. But I grew up in a family where we never had cameras out ever, and so it doesn't come natural to me, but I love to garden. I love it when people are inspired to garden, and that's the goal for me. Okay, that's all the time we have for questions today. Thank you so much for everybody who submitted questions. If I didn't get to yours, I'm really sorry. We'll try to do more Q&As as we get further into winter. I feel like I always say we're gonna do more Q&As, and somehow we just don't, but we'll try this winter. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of the weekend. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.